and gentlemen, this is your main event.
Live from HBF Stadium Festival Hall. Melbourne Pavilion.
Not even backstage, we're literally outside.
Was that the best fight card in Australian MMA history?
Call me crazy, but make sure you call me when I'm right.
Be good if the Aussie MMA Instagram page would give us a bit of glow up because we're
Ladies
killing
and
it.
gentlemen, today's guest is Faine Mesquita. She is a 3-0 professional flyweight, former Brazilian, I guess she still kind of is, adopted Australian, training out of MMA FFT under the great coach, the father of modern day MMA, Renato Subotic. Now, he loves pushing his fighters and telling me how great they're going to be, and he is higher than ever on Faine. And look, you can see why if you check her fight out at 1 on the weekend. She put her opponent to sleep. Very, very impressive victory. Of course, you can go see that bout at Renato Subotic's Instagram if you want to go check that out and how he predicted that would happen. It's good to chat to Faine. She's definitely going to be a huge contender in Australian MMA. I mean, she's up there, which at least claiming to be up there and now proving it with her results with Jacinta Austin, Amina Hedaya, the sort of Lisa Kyriacous of Australian MMA. So, I mean, Faine, I think she's been matched with some of them or sort of claimed for matches before and been told, not enough experience. And despite her taking out some pretty impressive amateur tournaments. So we get her thoughts on that and where we might see her and just how high she can go in the world of mixed martial arts. She's also a former lawyer in Brazil, which I find very unique because we always deem fighters as being dumb, and she is anything but that. So we're going to jump straight into this interview. No hellos or welcomes, none of that. After we hear from our friends at PRP Global, it is Faine Mesquita. Fuel the fight with Australian-made MMA-inspired streetwear and support the next generation of MMA superstars. Delivering unprecedented support to the Aussie MMA scene, support PRP Global on their journey. 100% of profits go to the fighters. Check PRP Global out today. Your name is not given the weight that it deserves in Australia. I feel like they don't hold you up as highly as your resume might have you.
It's not the first time I heard that. And yeah, I have seen some people maybe with less success, and the name being dropped like everywhere. And if you have some sort of a gossip or something like that, apparently it gets way more attention. But in that sense, I would say that I don't see many women getting much credit at all in MMA everywhere, unless you are in the very top. You very rarely see someone that is it's not in the main card and people already know who both of the fighters are, or even to get an event here in Australia. Let's stick to here. Where is the majority of events they don't even have women's in the main cards, let alone promoting the then as the main event. And when they do that, it's oh, look at that, we have women and we are promoting the sport and we are so supportive. No, you have been not having women in the last 5 cards that you run.
But do you think that's because of at the top end, there are some very, very, very talented fighters, yourself, Jacinta Austin, Amina Hedaya, Lisa Kyriacou. But that to get to that top level, it does feel like it's thinner in the middle. There's some nice girls starting out. So you guys that are starting to sort of become those top level fighters, do you feel like it is hard to get fights in Australia?
Yeah. In that sense, it's hard as well because of volume. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I also understand that there are less women in MMA than men. That's another reason why we have fewer fights. But I have been trying to get fights in Australia for the last couple of years, incessantly. It has been very hard. There was only one occasion that I couldn't do it because because I was hurt, and then another fight come up, so it messed up, and I had to cancel an event. But I have been, even before I did IMAF, The only reason why I joined, I was like not even that keen to go in the first place, but was because I was already struggling to find fights in Australia, even like with a 2-1 record as an amateur.
Yeah, we even saw, the back and forth with you and Lisa Kyriacou. Did you feel that it is difficult that your record perhaps doesn't reflect like you said, the amateurs? You did so well in the amateurs. It's almost like that's forgotten when you go pro.
Yes. But at the same time, like even before I won IMAF, I was already struggling to find opponents and to find matches. Like it was not a back and forth. It was a one-way thing. We were offered a fight and we said yes. And then she said I was not experienced enough. And look at me now, I have more finishes than her.
Do you look at her as a formidable foe? Like, do you look at her as a really, really tough fight, or is it someone you think you could sort of handle quite easily?
I mean, no fight is easy. Every opponent is going to face their own difficulties, but it's a fight that I'm very confident to take. Absolutely. And we said yes straight away. And you probably talked to fighters before. No one gets into a fight thinking they're going to lose, right? So I'm pretty confident I would win.
And do you think a fight of that magnitude will happen?
I don't think she will take that fight.
Why?
I'm still up for it, but I don't think she will because I'm not experienced enough. That's what I heard, not my words.
Then what do you, because I'm assuming the other girls around Australia would perhaps say something similar. Have you heard from any of the other top contenders?
I think Amina would take the fight. I couldn't take that fight, the last fight that she had, because one, I was not offered, and also I had an agreement with one as well, so I couldn't take I couldn't fight Amina earlier this year. But I think she would be up for it. She never said otherwise, as far as I'm concerned. Who else? I don't know what Jacinta has planned. I don't know if she's still a flyweight. She will move back to straw.
In terms of the one, are you under a contract with one, or is it one fight at a time? Like, what's your sort of restrictions?
So they have a time frame to offer me another fight, and it's like an ongoing thing. If they don't fulfill it, I'm free to pursue another. Like I can fight with anyone, but yeah. There are some caveats. It's not like, oh, I can sign with another promotion tomorrow. It's not exactly how it works. But I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about that. But the short answer is I would have to talk to them first.
Okay. And are you envisioning your next fight to be on one?
Oh, hopefully my next fight is going to be soon. Like that's the main goal for me. If they are able to offer me a good match soon, yes. Otherwise, if I'm offered from another promotion, better terms, like something that I think is going to be better for my career, then I'm gonna have to seek for some legal advice. Maybe my own. I used to be a lawyer back in Brazil, so unfortunately the contract is not ruled by Brazilian laws, otherwise I would be in a good position. But yeah, I would have to do some research.
I mean, let's speak about that for a minute. I mean, how does a Brazilian lawyer get into mixed martial arts? Like, why did this career even begin?
Yeah, well, I was not. Well, I think that's okay to say now. Well, look, I never enjoyed being one in the first place. It was just like a career that like it seemed to be like, oh, I'm gonna have plenty of options of jobs when I finish uni. Also back in Brazil as well. The best unis, they are fully funded by the government, and it's really hard to get in. So once I was there, I'm like, I think I'm gonna have to finish this. From like the second year, I already knew like I'm maybe I should have did engineering, but since I'm here already, and maybe I will like the things I'm going to study in the fourth year or the fifth year. I did, and so since I finished, I started like studying like software development, and I wanted to have more flexibility, like to work from anywhere. I realized that once I crossed the border with, let's say, Argentina, well, I don't have a degree there anymore, It also limits you on where you can go and who you can work for.
So yeah, I was gonna say, how'd you end up here to begin with?
Yeah, I just finished. I was working in a court of audit. I don't think we have a similar organism here in Australia. And after working there for 5 years, like I was entitled to take like 2 years of unpaid leave. And then I was like, oh, Australia seems nice. I can. I'm gonna go there and see what it's about. Everybody that I knew, like that been to Australia or were from, like talk really well about it. And I was like, I'm gonna go there and improve my English. So, study. I was doing some stuff in IT as well already. So, like I did like a diploma or something like that. And I end up starting working in the area here. And long story short, I never left.
How long ago was that?
That was like 9 years ago, 10 years ago.
Jeez. And I mean, good decision. I'm assuming you don't regret it.
No, I don't regret it at all. And yeah, on the side, I was already doing jiu-jitsu in Brazil. I did there for like a year, and it was like in that my white belt phase. I was very excited. Like jiu-jitsu was my whole life. I was praying the word of jiu-jitsu to everybody I knew. And that was my first move here. Like I had to find a jiu-jitsu gym, and I continued training, and I ended up like in an MMA gym. So I started doing other disciplines, and eventually I started fighting.
Like, have you always wanted to fight, or is just, being a good combat athlete, is that just in everyone's blood in Brazil?
Like I said, in Brazil, I only did jiu-jitsu for like not even a year. It was just like the last year I was there. I always liked action movies, if that counts. I was a massive fan of Jackie Chan, Jet Li. But no, I didn't. I barely practiced sports before.
So are you almost amazed though? Because I mean, you've had quite the career already, and for someone that just sort of fell into mixed martial arts, are you kind of surprised at yourself?
In many ways, yes. In other ways, no. When I first started, like I didn't want to start. I didn't do for competition. Like I appreciate the art, and I also had like self-defense in mind. So I didn't feel like competitive. Like I used to go like once every second year to jiu-jitsu comps. It was like not a big deal for me at all. Those people that are like always in comp, and also not many people in my divisions anyway. So I was like spending the whole day there waiting for them to announce. No, I couldn't be bothered. And I always felt really, really calm when I was doing that. Like I would see some people getting agitated, like anxious, excited about it. And it became really quickly something that like, it feels just like being in the gym. So I wanted something that, excited me a bit more. And jiu-jitsu was not doing it alone.
In mixed martial arts, do you get nervous before fights?
No.
Why not?
It's something that I always had. Like I would never get nervous before a test at school. Nothing. I do stress a lot about cutting weight. Until I make weight, I'm terrified. After I make weight, oh yeah, I'm fighting tomorrow, by the way. But no.
Wow. So what is your, I mean, are you close with your family? Like, what are their thoughts on you fighting?
Like I try to hide it from my mom as much as possible. I don't live with her for the last, 15 years. And I was still like, yeah, now I tell her, like, before my fights happen, until I would say my second last fight, I only told her after the event already happened. Hey, by the way, I fought last weekend. I won. Yeah, it's nice. You want to see the you want to see the footage? And she would be, no, I'm okay.
What is the sort of plan? Because it does sound like you sort of fell into this, but is there a like, oh, if I'm not at this certain level by this age or this many years in, then I'll probably sort of retire and do something else? Or are you just kind of literally taking it day by day?
Look, yeah, it sounds like I fell in because like everything started happening very quickly once I started to have a fight. But the thing is, some people they start fighting like 6 months into the gym. I was already like training for like over 7 years, so I was more than prepared. And obviously, sometimes I had some doubts like, oh, wow, some people here as amateurs they have been training for not for long. Obviously, I gotta smash them is gonna be easy, and not even very fair in a sense. But now that but at the same time, I always fought people that had more fights than me. So I'm not gonna let the inner saboteur tell me that I'm not good enough, because I have fought people with always, like my previous opponent, she had like 3 victories like as a pro, and she had more fights as an amateur, and she never lost before. So that's the thing for me. I train so hard and like I'm so disciplined. And even before I even consider it start fighting, I would be that person in the gym like from Monday to Friday every single day. I would not miss a class. And people just like, why do you train so much? Do you want to compete? I'm like, no, it's because I like the routine. I like to be here. I like to do this. And I like so much. And after you practice so much, you got to get good, with anything you do. It could be playing instruments, could be at work. So I think that's it. And once I decided to fight, I was actually more ready than I realized, because I didn't have the experience like inside the cage, but I had lots of years behind me already.
Talk about the influence of the father of modern day MMA. Talk about the great coach Subotic. What has he sort of taught you, and when did you first kind of meet him?
I met him back in 2021 when the gyms in Sydney they were reopening after the pandemic. The gym that I used to train at the time was still closed. They were waiting for like everybody to be able to return. For those who don't know, we had like different rules. Like if you're vaccinated, you could come to the gym earlier. If you're not, you would have to wait like another few weeks. And I couldn't wait any longer. It was already like 4 months, like the longest 4 months of my life. And and then I decided to, I took some classes. They had like open mats as well. So it was open to other gyms. Obviously, my coach already knew about that. He was on board. And then what happened is I eventually moved to another part of the city, and I was much closer to where Renato runs his classes, and then I start training with him full time.
What has he sort of implemented that was sort of different to your game to now?
Well, the thing is, when I start training with him, I haven't had any fights yet. I had a couple matchups that didn't fall through. One was with Amina, by the way. I was supposed to fight her in 2021, and then the first week of the second lockdown was announced, so that fight didn't happen. I think especially like the emphasis on cage that he has, and it was a different system. Like, but we do have like more specific classes for that. And I'm not going to take any away from like my other gym as well. Igor is pretty good in that aspect as well. Like there are still things that I learned with him that I still apply today. But with Renato, we have more MMA specific classes like per week. He lives in the gym as well, so I suppose that makes a difference. What else? Yeah, and then we start to focus on more things as I decided to actually have fights. I was not just there to whatever you're teaching, I'm gonna be here for the class because I just want to train.
Mm.
And when I decided that I want to have fights, obviously every now and then he teaches things that are gonna work more for certain people. And yeah, I think that's it. I would have a bit more. I started to be bit more selective with the information that I was receiving as well.
Is that difficult for you? Do you feel that like you've kind of got an idea of how you're going to plan out your career, or like I said earlier, kind of are you just kind of going with the flow, or do you know the perfect fighter that you want to be?
Look, I'm quite a perfectionist, and like, and I sometimes I focus too much on the things that I don't think I'm doing very well. And Renato is the opposite. Like, no, you do that well, and that's what you're gonna do in this fight, and like you're gonna stick to the game plan. I have an idea on how I want my career to progress. Like, it's hard to tell which fighter I'm gonna be at the end of it, because obviously the way the path is gonna mold you as well. But I know which type of fights that I want to get. Like I said, I don't want to get anyone who is like debuting again. You know, I want to challenge people with more fights than me, more experience than me, and just to see how far I can push.
Yeah, it's I like that you. I feel like you're almost breaking the mold too of like when you hear fighters, you're supposed to be dumb and just punch through, and you're well educated and well spoken. And do you feel like you yourself are sort of breaking a lot of the mold of how people do think about some fighters?
Yeah, I think some fighters sometimes I get mesmerized. I'm like, is this person that dumb, or they are just playing a character just because people like to hear those things? But I couldn't do. Yeah, obviously I want to make smart decisions for my career. Uh, I think we have been now 10 fights without any bruises. That's nice, huh? Every time I have to fill the form of like, when was your last concussion? I never had one. And I wanted to keep going like that, you know. I'm not 20 anymore, so if I want to have a long career, I have to keep doing what I'm doing and protecting myself all times.
And I mean, in 5 years, where do we see you?
I would say world champion, a few belts, nice house by the pool.
And what's been your most challenging time of your career so far?
Yeah, like you mentioned before, people don't give enough credit to amateur MMA, but IMF was the most difficult challenge for me for sure. Imagine having 4 MMA fight in a week. It's insane, right? And not taking any damage because I had the holiday booked with my mom the week after. That was the most difficult part. But yeah, just the preparation for that, like to have the cardio to go for like all the rounds, because we didn't, because if you don't know, like if you get any damage and you get disqualified even if you win, so you cannot progress in the tournament. So we had this game plan that like you want to win, but you don't want to give everything because otherwise you're out anyway. So we are happy to go all the rounds if needed to, just to avoid like the most damaging strikes. And even though I could have with some of my opponents, but we prefer like, no, let's just take them to the ground, play safe. And on the final, you do whatever you want to do. But yeah, that was like definitely the most difficult challenge, because you're already coming from a long diet. For me, for instance, I came from like, I had 3 flus and a broken rib before I start dieting for the Worlds. Then when I finally made weight, yeah, I have to make the weight again and again, and the day after one more time.
Would you say that's also sort of your proudest moment?
Yeah. I think until that time, I already had versed some like really great opponents, but knowing how difficult that tournament is and what it takes from you to be there, yeah, that was like that was not only about MMA, it was like, it was grueling. It was about like going beyond any physical limit I've been before.
When do we think we see you next in the cage or the ring? Where could we see you next, and against who do you think?
Look, it's hard to tell who's going to be the next opponent. Like I haven't heard about Yuka until I was offered the fight, to be honest. But hopefully I would like to have a fight in the next couple months. I still think I can fit another 2 fights this year. I wanna finish 5-0. Yeah. I think it's a good number.
No, that's good. That's good. And finally, when it's all said and done, your career's over. How do you want to be remembered in mixed martial arts?
Look, as someone who didn't limit herself, who didn't put herself in a box, who is always like trying to support others to achieve the same thing or even more. And to tell people that it's never too late, you know. For MMA, I definitely started super late in my career. But it could be anything. If you want to write a book, if you want to, you know, give a go and change careers as well, like all those things that people like, they try to push back and like not have the confidence to just leap and go. Yeah, I would like to bring this message more often.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time, and I really do appreciate it. And you know, don't be a stranger. Make sure you let me know all your news, and I'll try and get it out there as much, because people are starting to really become fans of yours, and we're looking forward to your great career going forward.
Thank you. Hopefully very soon. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.